TV, Nashville.
This is NBC Nightly News with John Chancellor in New York.
Good evening. Cyrus Vance resigned today as Secretary of State on principle because he could not support the president's decision to use a military force to rescue the hostages in Iran. Vance wrote to the president saying that he could not in the future back Mr. Carter on an issue of such extraordinary importance. Deputy Secretary of State Warren Christopher, a 54-year-old lawyer diplomat, will become acting secretary and has a chance to become Vance's permanent replacement. Here's more on the story from Washington.
Secretary Vance left his home at 7 this morning, limping and walking with a cane because of a flare-up of gout. It would be his last day as Secretary of State. At the White House, President Carter accepted Vance's letter of resignation, written April 21st, 4 days before the rescue attempt. Vance wrote, "You would not be well served in the coming weeks and months by a Secretary of State who could not offer you the public backing you need on an issue and decision of such extraordinary importance. Respectfully yours, Cy." And in reply, the president said, "Because you could not support my decision regarding the rescue operation in Iran, you have made the correct decision to resign. You leave your post with the admiration and best wishes of a grateful nation. Your friend, Jimmy Carter." Later, at the State Department, Vance read a brief statement expressing his continuing loyalty to President Carter.
"I have told the president that I continue to support fully his policies on other foreign policy issues. I have assured him that he can count on my support for his continued leadership of our nation."
There were other problems, signs that Vance was losing influence in the administration. He pushed for a meeting with Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko, but was overruled by the White House. But the big problem was Iran. Vance, the cautious lawyer who prefers conciliation to confrontation, a man worried about the escalating crisis, failing to convince President Carter not to send in the commandos. George Lewis, NBC News, the State Department.
Vance's departure couldn't have come at a worse time for President Carter, who is struggling now to put back together the pieces of his Iranian policy in the wake of last week's failed rescue attempt. But in Texas today, Mr. Carter praised the former secretary.
Secretary Vance is a fine and dedicated man who has served me and served this nation well. He leaves his post with a series of great accomplishments behind him, with an offer to help me in any way I ask him in the future, and with my gratitude and friendship intact.
White House officials defended the fact that the president decided to go ahead with the mission while Vance was out of town. Press Secretary Jody Powell said Vance had several opportunities to change the president's mind, but he did not. Powell said the president went ahead with his decision, knowing that he would lose a Secretary of State because of it. At the top of the list of possible replacements is Warren Christopher, whose appointment would be viewed as a signal of continuity both to State Department employees and the allies. National Security Advisor Brzezinski may also be considered, although Press Secretary Jody Powell pointed out today that Brzezinski has said in the past he is not interested in the job. Another name frequently mentioned is that of Saul Linowitz, who currently serves as special negotiator for the Middle East. Still another is Lloyd Cutler, the president's legal counsel. Aides say the president will probably announce his decision within the next few days. Judy Woodruff, NBC News, the White House.
In the Congress, there was widespread regret that Vance had decided to resign. Vance was very popular in the Congress, and this was reflected today in expressions of regret from members of both parties in both houses. Vance's departure is seen as a serious loss for the administration in terms of its relations with the Congress. Vance is a New York lawyer who started up in the ranks of diplomacy in the Johnson administration. He is so self-effacing that it is said of him he never left any footprints, but he had a long record of service. Vance is well-liked and widely respected among world leaders. He had been a diplomatic troubleshooter for years before he became Secretary of State, and his cool